Hey there. I'm Amy Connell. Welcome to Graced Health, the podcast for women who want simple and grace filled ways to take care of themselves and enjoy a little chocolate in the process. I'm a certified personal trainer and nutrition coach who wants you to know your eating, movement, and body don't have to be perfect. You just need to be able to do what you're called to do. Okay, today is the last in a series where I am focusing on the track. I hope you have enjoyed this one and you have been able to just kind of expand your mind, and maybe, just maybe, you have gotten out to the track. But if you've been waiting on something to do in a workout, that's the answer to today's question, which is what are some workouts to do on the track? Now, I want you to know that I am focusing on women over 40 in this because as we age, our bodies just respond a little bit differently. And quite honestly, I'm very protective of us. I have gotten hurt more times than I want to admit, and I have gotten hurt doing a sprint workout before. Be- I think because I wasn't allowing myself enough rest time in between the intervals. So adjust this as necessary. The great thing about these workouts is there's no rules. Like, these are guidelines. This is something that you can take and you can play with, but you can make it work for you. Maybe you need a longer rest period. Maybe you want to go a little farther or a little shorter. All of that is fine. These are just some guidelines that I want to give you as a starting point. And I hope that you have listened to all of the episodes leading up to this, particularly the one about the track etiquette, because you will make more friends if you show up on the track and you are going counterclockwise, and if you are not in lane one when you are walking, and all of the other things that I talked about. So that's just a really good thing to know before you get out there and start going on the track. Okay. I want to give you three kind of workouts that you can do, and then one other thing to consider before you head out to the track. Now, keep in mind that in lane one lap around the track is 400 meters. As you go, as you go out the lanes, lane two is, I think it's 7.3 meters longer, and then it extends that same amount as you go farther out. That's why you will see white lines about 7 meters beyond. So that's a staggered start. As I'm recording this, it is 2021, and the Tokyo Olympics just finished about a month ago. One of my very favorite things to watch, of course, is the track and field. And if you saw people, the athletes staggered, that's what they were doing. They were lining up on those white lines to ensure that everybody has the same amount of distance around the track. If that's important to you, then line up on those lines. Otherwise, ignore them and just do what works for you. Uh, you know, I don't know. I can't speak for you, but I know for me, I just want to get out. I want to breathe hard. I want to have a great workout. I always say I want myself and my clients to feel equal parts energized, accomplished, and fatigued. That's what I'm looking for myself. That's what I'm looking for you. If the specificity of it is important to you, then absolutely go out to those lines when you start. But otherwise, just start where the numbers are. That's okay. All right. So here's your first one. This is what I have been doing, and I have a lot of fun with it. And there's a couple different ways of saying it. It's either 100 repeats or walk the straight or run the straight, walk the curve. Basically, I walk around the curve. There is a line kind of where the curve turns into a straight portion, and that is the beginning of a 100-meter distance until the next line happens, and then you go back around. So I will run that straight portion at a pretty intense level and then walk the curves. I don't, it's hard for me to recommend to you exactly how many to start with. And by the way, maybe running isn't your thing. Maybe you just take it at a really, really fast walk, like a super speedy walk, and then slow down your walk. That's perfectly acceptable to do as well. I like running. I like the feel of running. So if you do too, or if you just like want to do something different, then run or walk, whatever floats your boat. There's no rules. Just just do whatever works for you. But run the straights, walk the curves. I would recommend starting with about 6, work your way up. I am maxing out. I think the last time I did it, I did 16, and that's about all I want to do for that because I will pay attention to my how my body's feeling. If I start to feel a tweak or a bark or just something from my body saying, "Hey, I'm out, I'm taxed out," then I stop. It's not worth it to me. It's not worth it to me to keep going just for the sake of finishing out however many my goal was and risk getting injured. If you have different goals, then maybe you can keep pushing and that's fine. But for me, with my goal of feeling equal parts energized, accomplished, and fatigued, if I need to cut out a few early, then I cut out a few early because then I can go back the next time and do it rather than nursing an injury. I'm all about not getting hurt. So there's just my 2 cents on that. Okay, so that was 100 meters. Now, the next thing that we can do is you can run for 200s and then walk for 200s. Or if you're walking, increase your speed for 200 and then slow it down for 200. That's also called 200 repeats. There are lines on the track, again, like we talked about. So what you would start on where there are numbers, and that's probably going to be kind of on the right-hand side of the track, and then run the curve through the straight. And at the end of that first straight, you will see a line. That's where your 200 meters ends. And then you can keep going. So that's the other one. So we've got 100 repeats or walk the straight or run the straight, walk the curves. You've got 200 repeats, which is running for half of the track and then walking for half of the track. The next step that you can try is 400 meters. So that's just one lap around the track and then you can rest. So you can either maybe walk to that next 200, you can take a full lap. I typically will stay at the end or I'll stay at my starting position and just set a timer. I did this with the track club one time. I think we started at 2.5 minute break and then we would shave off 15, I think it was 15 seconds every week. It was like a 5 week program and decrease our rest time, but we never got below a minute and a half rest. And I would recommend the same thing for you. Your body needs time to replenish those muscles and get that glycogen back into your muscles in order for you to do this again. Now, one thing I want to make sure that I communicate is your 400 pace when you're doing a full lap around the track should be slower than your 100 pace. The shorter your distance, the faster you can run. You are not going to be able to maintain that same speed on a 400 as you are with a 100 or a 200. This is normal. And this is why, I mean, you even see the numbers in this in Olympic events. You can't just take 100 meter pace and multiply that times 2 and assume that that's what's going to happen in a 200. It will slow down. The longer you go, the slower your body's going to go as well. So just keep that in mind. The final one I want to just put out there is a term that you may have heard or may not, depending on how entrenched in the running community you've been, and that's called a fartlek. And if you have young children in the car, they might be laughing. Yes, fartlek. And yes, I'm 46 and I'm laughing too. Anyway, that is just kind of a technical term for varying speeds of intensity. And there is no distance, there is no time associated with it. It's just kind of paying attention to your body, running fast for a while, running slow for a while. If you're kind of like that creative type and you just want to play around with things, that's a great one to do. If you want to have a little bit more structure, do something like if you are listening to music, again, remember from our track etiquette episode, not too loud, but if you are listening to music, and I do too, then run really hard during the chorus and then walk the rest of the song or walk during the other parts of the song. So that's something you can do. You can also do some counting. So maybe count down from 10 to 1 and then do it again and count down from 15 to 1 and then 20 to 1 and then back down to 15 and 10. Just play around with that. Really and truly, there's no rules. I do want to remind you again, the longer you go in your interval running, the slower the pace is going to be. However, I encourage you to try and see what kind of pace you can achieve. Now, this does not mean go out and run as fast as possible, as soon as possible when you first start doing this. Allow your body the time to figure out how to respond to what you're wanting it to do. It takes practice to get the right speed. And one of the greatest things that you can do is start tracking how long it takes you to do that distance, and you want to be somewhat consistent. If you're doing 400 meters and it first takes you 90 seconds to get around, and then you rest a couple minutes, and then it takes you 2 minutes to get around, and then you rest a couple minutes, and then it takes you 3 minutes to get around, then you need to go a little bit slower at the beginning so that way you have the energy to do it later. So just take the time, allow your body, if it's new to you, it's going to feel weird. That's okay. And actually, that goes back to several weeks ago when we were talking about why am I not sore anymore? Because you want to take yourself out of that efficiency zone. You want to try new things in order to challenge your body and help reach your goals, whatever that may be. Even if your goal is just to feel great, energized, accomplished, fatigued. Okay, that is all for today. Go out there and have a graced day.